know what, girl? You're nothing like anybody I ever met. You're not like these other girls. And these were the two that were like, man, I'm out here fucking in Jersey Shore. Both of them were like, no love, no hook, no, fuck all that. I don't give a fuck. Sucking. What? Alright guys, today we have a 2-day back-to-back on a client who drove from Alameda. So he's actually kind of more local than our usual clients. He drove out here from the Bay Area. He already had some work done on his arm, but we're gonna go ahead and finish it up for him and finish out the sleeve. Super cool dude already. It's going super smooth. I think it's gonna be a dope piece. But before we start the vlog, guys, I want you guys to like, comment, and subscribe on these videos because it really helps us want to push more and add more value and stuff. I know we're putting a lot into these and I know you guys get a lot out of it, but the more you guys engage, the more we'll keep bringing them, you know? And if there's anything new or different that you don't see that you want to see or more information, just comment below, let us know, and we'll incorporate it into our next vlog. So let's get the day started. Good morning, another hot day in Sacramento. Today we have a back session. We're working on an Egyptian piece, but we threw some UFOs in there and we got a little guy beaming up over the pyramids, hieroglyphs, a bunch of cool stuff. It's gonna make it very unique. I try to look at all different types of stuff when I get themes, like, okay, the theme is Egyptian with the King Tut and the UFO. So I looked up other pieces that are like that and then try to do it differently, right? I think that's a good thing for people to do is like you look up how everyone else is doing it and then you figure out how you can put your own little twist on it to make it unique, especially with these more common themes that a lot of people get. We always want to be unique, and that's what's going to make you stand apart with your designs and stuff like that. So I already got the size printed up, so I'm just going to make it into a stencil and then we're going to slap it on them.
How long did it take you to design that one?
Not too long. I think, you know, I tried to gather a bunch of good references and just tried to slap a bunch of stuff together quickly with all the opacities down and just kind of get a rough idea. And then once I had a rough idea of what was going to fit and work, just started just like refining it a little bit more and then cutting things out and then keeping stuff and then getting rid of stuff. I knew I wanted to do the split face of the King Tut. That way we had more room to add more stuff as opposed to just putting a big King Tut face and then something below it, which is what most people do. But this allowed us to open up some depth and open up some space for us to put the UFOs and the hieroglyphs. And then behind the hieroglyphs is just solid black, but that's really going to help us simplify the overall image because if there's too much going on in every area, it just gets a little convoluted. But in this way, that solid black is going to help us make each of those things stand apart. So, and I love the look of some pure, solid, clean black. So there's plenty of that in this piece, and it's going to make up for all the areas that are a little bit more busy. So it's a good balance, I think, and it's going to fit his arm really well too. So I'm just going to make the stencil really quick. I had to resize it just a bit. His bottom arm is actually done by Daniel Silva. He has two pieces on the outside and on the inside. So we're finishing up that sleeve. So we basically have a collab with Daniel Silva. Shout out to you, Daniel. September. We got everything pretty much booked. We have a lot of people going into Airbnb, so it's like where we stay is like a big deal because everyone has to be there comfortably. But it's always a good time. It's like if we don't do anything big as a team, we at least go to Golden State because it's just kind of tradition at this point. But every time we go, it's like time of our lives, and it really rekindles and like re-inspires you and stuff like that. And then you get to put a lot of faces to Instagrams that maybe you haven't met or maybe you haven't seen some of these people in a while. So those conventions really help you get in touch with the community a little bit more. You get really stuck in a hole where you're just tattooing out of your little corner somewhere wherever you live, and you kind of forget that you're a part of something bigger than that. Because tattooing feels like a solo sport, but in actuality there's just so many people that you can relate to if you start going to these conventions and meeting people and getting inspired by different people. And I think it's crucial for not only new artists but even seasoned artists to kind of like get out of their shell a little bit and try to get a little social and maybe pick up some things that you didn't know about a process, about a technique or something like that. Or it's just talking with people that you have something in common with, you know. I guess that's what's cool about the conventions. You go there and even if you are all from different walks of life, you at least know you have something in common, right? You love tattooing or you're into tattoos. So everyone there has at least that in common. So when you approach someone, everyone's cool as fuck. So I highly suggest that for artists, young and old, you know? We're trying to see if that one that we had before is still available. So when you guys are cleaning the skin, it's really good for you to clean the skin first with green soap. Green soap that has the antibacterial in it, has all that, but it's also kind of thicker than alcohol, and it's gonna really help pick up any general dirt. And then after that, you wanna clean it with alcohol because it's gonna really get that last bit of cleaning done, and it's gonna take the stickiness of the soap from the green soap off, so that when you go and place your stencil, or you're like trying to see where you wanna put it, it doesn't like stick to it. So alcohol is what's gonna get it to really dry and clean. So green soap first, alcohol second. Now see, I just got done with the green soap and I could feel like the tackiness a little bit. What's gonna take that off is if we get just a quick rub down with the alcohol, gone, no tackiness, which is good for when we're trying to hold our stencil up right now. So
when you do the design, you purposely try to cover all the way here?
yeah, I try to go up and over the shoulder, back around the tricep, and forward on the bicep enough to where if you were to see it from the front side right here, it looks fully engulfed and you couldn't tell where it stopped. The worst part is when you do a piece and you just have it sitting on the outside of the arm. It really sucks because especially people that work out and stuff, it's like as their shoulder gets bigger, as their tricep gets bigger, you don't want the tattoo to take away from the anatomy of their muscles, right? So it's like with you going up and over the shoulder and making sure there's actually full coverage, that won't matter at all, you know what I mean? And you always take into account certain parts of the anatomy when you're designing, certain angles and stuff, like the delt, how this is kind of like a diamond shape right here, and it creates these angles. The tricep creates this downward angle like this, and you kind of got to know that these kind of bulge out. So depending on where you're placing stuff, you have to keep that in mind. So every design has to go with the anatomy, and if you don't, you're gonna have a rude awakening. You come in and some guy has some crazy delt with a dip here, and you try to put a face there, and it just doesn't fit because it's an overdeveloped delt. It's just, you're not gonna be able to put a face there, right? So it's always good to get a picture of your client's arm or whatever body part ahead of time so that you could really see what you're working with and design specifically for them. Super important. It's also important to think about line of sights of like what is landing where and what it looks like. So here we have like the hieroglyphs and the snake part of the head of the King Tut landing on his front delt. So like if you look at it from the front, it's kind of cool because you'll have this really dope thing landing right there on the front. And it's always cool to have something there because if it's just a bunch of random shading there, it just doesn't look good. So it needs to look good from every angle. You got to think about that, line of sights. All right, seems like a good spot. We're gonna go ahead and mark it, make our little marks. Now we made our marks, we're gonna put our stencil stuff on and we're gonna slap the stencil on. Let it wrap. This is the importance of cutting stress points in your stencil so it allows you to, you see how I'm bending this part but I'm not bending the top part yet. It allows me a little bit more give in this stiff paper, you know. You want everything to land flat the way it's supposed to and it doesn't skew, so this is gonna help you do that. And I take my time with this, you know. I wanna press a spot, hold it a little bit, let it really soak in, especially a face or something. You wanna make sure the faces are just catching, you know, so you don't have to like double press it and get like all these double stencil lines. So I want this to land really good. So I'm gonna make sure I focus on spreading this out and then pressing. Hold it for a sec. So now to help if you peel this up just a tad so it'll loosen up this other side a bit. Up and over the shoulder is a little tough sometimes, especially if you got something that's rounded or because it tends to distort. But you want to be able to control that distortion to where the overall piece doesn't look distorted. It looks like it's going around it like it's supposed to. So, and usually we get these first tries, so we will see when we peel it off. But you know, prep is everything. If you got to replace a stencil, you got to replace a stencil. But this one feels pretty good, so.
You gonna tattoo that line too?
No. No, this the stencil printer we use sometimes makes this fucking harsh line on the side. Probably because we got to clean the inside of it and shit. But sometimes that'll be there and they're like, what's that line there? And I'm like, don't worry, bro, I'm not tattooing that. Okay, looks dope to me, but guess what? We always need second opinions because that's what this shop is about. We always have people here that give you a second opinion. So we're gonna go grab Jessa, and we're gonna go see what she thinks. And if we all both agree, then we're good to go. So I'm gonna go grab her real quick. So it sits really good. I love how this sits on the delt right here, and then this sits on the front delt perfectly and stuff. I guess the only thing is this is centered, and how I had it was a little off to the left, but it just depends because like I think overall this looks good. What do you think?
That looks perfect.
Yeah?
Yeah, because everything, I can see everything good, the face good.
Yeah, you can see all three of the UFOs.
I like, seeing all three of them on the front.
Yeah, as opposed to some of them disappearing off to the back.
I guess the only thing is like the pyramid touching the tip of the ear.
Yeah, I was probably going to do like a negative thing around them, maybe.
Around the ears.
Yeah, so maybe it would be like, because this side already has a negative streak right here. See that? Yeah, and then I'd just add a tiny gap like that so that the ears stand out. And this side of the pyramid is black. Should I like go black and then fade it off towards the ear, or should I just do it black and then leave the highlight so I get a little both to like really keep it separated? I agree. Okay, thank you so much. You're the best. So usually when I do sleeves, like I would have been the one to have done this, but since he already has this done, we have to find a way to incorporate it to where it like it ties right into it and you can't tell that two artists did it. So since these are black ears and they're positive, right? And then I have these pyramids right behind them. I have to find a way for me to allow these ears to still breathe and still have enough space to hold the silhouette of the Anubis, but I also need enough to connect to make it feel like it actually attaches, right? So this side of the pyramid is actually black, but I'm gonna start fading it down, and then I'm gonna leave a negative streak or a negative line around this. So it basically has another layer of contrast on top of that to separate it. Not only is it black, but then I have a negative part on the outside of that to like separate the two. So I think it'll work really good. And I got these negative streaks coming behind him and stuff, adding a lot of flow from his tricep into his forearm. And this is gonna go behind the Anubis, and that's gonna help a lot to create the flow needed to kind of connect the top and bottom. So I love how this part of it sits on the top of the delt right there. Like it just sits perfectly on the top. And then this sits in the front, on the front delt, which looks really cool, just having a couple of these hieroglyphs and stuff. And then when I do all the shading and stuff, it's really gonna fill up like all the way over here, all the way up and over the top and stuff. It's gonna be very dense and full, you know what I mean?
Okay. I love it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Looks sick.
It's gonna be sick, bro. That would tie it in really good with all these negative streaks, like I was just saying. It's gonna help add that flow that you're missing to kind of tie it all together, you know? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Dope.
This is crazy.
Hell yeah.
Love it.
Check this out, guys. We're actually at the shop and we're watching Jersey Shore from season 1, episode 1. Why? No idea. It's fun. And you should do it too. It's kind of funny. It's nostalgic. Oh my God. Bro, they are fucking in love, boy. They got in love quick. That's crazy. He's like, you know what, girl? You're nothing like anybody I ever met. You're not like these other girls. And these were the two that were like, man, I'm out here fucking in Jersey Shore. Both of them were like, no love, no hook, no, fuck all that. I don't give a fuck. Sucking. What? Leave in the comments who your favorite Jersey Shore character is. I don't know who mine is. I'd say either Vinny or probably Vinny. I fuck with Vinny. Pauly D's pretty cool too, but I didn't know he was fucking 30 years old in this already. That means he's an old man. Pauly D, my man. I'll see you in Vegas, all right?
Good. It's been a long day, but the work speaks for itself. I'm excited to see what he gets done tomorrow.
Guys, day 1. So far we're moving pretty good. I think today we're getting about 6.5 hours of tattooing in, not including prep and stuff. So we spent some time doing the prep, but we made sure we did all the prep for both days. So tomorrow he comes in, I don't gotta do anything, don't gotta stencil, don't gotta do anything like that, right? It's always good to get the prep out of the way on the first day, especially for the bigger projects, you know, the 4 days, the 3 days, the 5 days. I usually do all the prep on the first day. So when you guys hear me talk about doing the prep on the first day, it's like, it's very necessary for these larger pieces. I understand some people are talking about why would prep take so long? Oh, I'll be like, you spend a few hours getting everything done and you don't have to do it for the rest of the days, and you're prepping for a much larger piece. You know, you're prepping for a whole sleeve and an entire chest. So the more prepared you are, the better time you're gonna have on those other days. And the clients know what's up. I let them know ahead of time, like what we gotta do and all that stuff. So I stay communicating with the client about what to expect time frame wise, right? So he knew, and all my clients know, like today we're gonna get about 6.5 hours of tattooing done. Tomorrow we get to get started earlier and we get to go until it's done. It doesn't matter how long that takes, you know what I mean? But super important for the prep. King Tut, like the broken part down, so everything from there down. Got one of the biggest UFO done and all of that stuff. So it's a good amount of work to do tomorrow. It's like a perfect amount, and I'm not worried about it at all. It's actually like great. It's gonna go great. So far so good. We'll see how it turns out. And yeah, I think we're gonna wrap up day 1 here soon. So I'm gonna send you guys off to day 2 so you guys can see how we finish this up. And my client's sitting good, so I'm sure you'll sit good tomorrow. So let's let's go over to day 2, guys. Let's go. Day 2, right? I was just waiting for my client to get here. Hopefully his stencil stayed on overnight. That'd be convenient. But if not, we'll just slap it back on. So let's see how today goes. Don't forget, comment, like, you know the other one. So yeah, let's get the day started. It'll probably be a full house today in the shop, except for Tony, he's out of town. But everyone else is in here, and it's gonna be lit. So let's go. How you doing?
Good.
How you feeling?
Good. Yeah. I thought I was gonna be in more pain, but chilling.
See? And then once it all like calms down, swelling goes down, you're just like, yeah, I don't even hardly feel it type shit, you know? Yeah. It looks good. The stencil stayed on really good. That's dope. I'm just gonna take the wrap off and then clean it off for you real quick, and then I'll finish setting up my station and we'll get going soon.
All right, good.
Let's take this wrap off and clean his tattoo off. I just need some antibacterial foam soap, which you should always keep handy. Antibacterial foam soap is literally like, you should always have it on deck. Doesn't matter really what brand or whatever. We use a Redemption brand, but having it is really good for cleaning off tattoos very gently. And then I always suggest my clients get some sort of foam soap like that as well. Let me get the back side real quick. Right. So yeah, this is the reason we keep the wrap on overnight for the first night, is because all of this leaking plasma and extra beads of like little bits of blood that you can't really see and stuff, that goopy stuff. If you were to leave a wrap off overnight, it would dry, it would hit the air and it would dry it and become crusty and hard. And it's a lot harder to wash off, and it's just not good for the tattoo. So this way it keeps it moisturized and it just keeps it like wet, so then when we take the wrap off in the morning, we could just wash it off hella easy. But it wouldn't do this, it won't do this again tonight. It's only on the first night when you first do the tattoo. So that's why we keep a wrap on overnight for sure. Some people don't do that. They're just like, oh, take the wrap off when you get home, but then they always deal with like a bunch of plasma all over their bed sheets or just shit all over the pillow, or like sometimes even if it's real bad, the tattoo could even fuse with like your sheet or your blanket and it's like stuck on there and you have to like rip it off. So that's obviously not good. So we just wanted to keep that on overnight for that reason. I don't need it anymore, you can take it. I'll just get it. Beautiful. So this is what we got done yesterday. This is the after day glow, or after the first day glow. So it's cool when you see the day after, because all the redness and swelling goes down, so you can kind of see what's going on. It's a little glary right now because of the light, but it looks pretty cool. Kind of gives you a taste of what's to come. A lot of black going behind here and stuff, so it's going to make this pop even more. So I'm excited to see all the contrast really come together for the whole piece. It's going to be fun. So yeah, we try to keep the stencil on overnight ideally, because it's way more convenient to come in and just get right to work and not have to prep. But if we had to replace the stencil, I always try to leave off the tattoo that I did the day before in a spot where I could line it up really easily. It's contextual, right? Because depending on the piece or where you left it off at, it's gonna be easier or harder to line it up. We feel like we could line any stencil up, but sometimes it's just more convenient to keep it on. You just give it a quick wipe down right before you tattoo with some alcohol in some areas, just so you can keep it clean and stuff like that. But overall, keeping the stencil on overnight is just way more convenient, saves a lot of time. And that's why I talk a lot to you guys about like doing all the prep on the first day. Even on days when I'm doing like super large scale pieces, I try to stencil the entire thing on there so I can at least get the first 2 days of stenciling just stuck on there. And then if I have to replace the stencils, I will. But anything to keep the prep on the first day and then the rest of the time just pure tattooing, you know what I mean? And I saw some of you guys in the comments on the last video talking about, using the better part of a day for prep on the first day is just like robbery. And I think you took it out of context. It's not all day. It's not like I'm spending all day doing prep. It's just you spend the first couple hours in the beginning of the day on the first day to make sure everything is good and right, the sizing, the placement, and everything is perfect. And then once you got it on there and you got it all done, you don't have to prep for any of the other days, you know? It's a big difference for prepping for multiple days than it is for a single session like you guys are used to. But doing these back-to-back sessions like we always do, like every tattoo we do is either a back-to-back, a 3-day, a 4-day. I very rarely do single days. But yeah, I mean, prep is everything for tattooing, and I'm trying to get that across to you guys. Preparation, preparation, preparation.
Would you be down to do a vlog where like all you do is the prep?
One day we'll do a vlog where I'll show you guys from beginning to end, designing to even how you talk to your client and how you explain the design to your client, and then get it across to them for them to approve it over text message, because I send my clients the designs ahead of time. And some people hate doing that. I used to not like doing that. But if you're very confident in the design or hitting what you think they wanted it should be all good. And then if you get the go-ahead, then you can start stenciling at home. So a lot of the prep is done at home, and I like doing that. I used to not do that, but I like doing that because I feel so much more prepared if I get everything finished ahead of time. Because a lot of people don't know, like stenciling, that all takes energy, it takes focus, and you don't want to take too much of your tattoo energy and focus away on the day of, when you could just spend it just focusing on doing the tattoo. So that's why the preparation ahead of time is important. We'll do a vlog like that one day, but we're also going to be dropping a course very soon where I'm going over the whole process of designing from beginning to end, how we find our references, how I think about composition, and just how to do composition on different body parts and stuff. So that's going to be really cool. We'll let you guys know when that's going to drop, but that'll be good for all of you guys that are looking to get a little more in detail about the preparation and how to design. So yeah, right here in this piece, I have a lot of black to pack, and there's a lot of edges, right? So if you look over here, how I would tackle this to get it extremely clean and solid is, first I ran through a quick outline of all of the hieroglyphs with a 5-round liner. And what I was trying to do was line on the outside of the stencil so that after I fill in the black around it, it still has a substantial amount of negative to really hold the negative. Because if the negative's too close together, they could bleed together and then you'll lose the popping shape. As you can see here, you have the shape and you can still see clearly what it is. If I brought it too close together, this would start to disappear. This little arm would start to disappear and all of that stuff. So lining on the outside of the stencil first, right? Getting a quick outline in. And then if you want it to be super solid and clean, you're gonna wanna go around all of these edges with a round shader. I have a 5-round shader out right now. So it takes a little bit of extra time, but you're really gonna make sure you're gonna get it solid. So I'm going around all of these edges with a 5-round shader, making sure I get this thicker and super solid up against that line like that. And I'll do that like you can see how I did here. I'll do that all the way around these edges like this, and that'll ensure that I'm getting a full saturated black up against that silhouetted edge like that. And then after I do all of that, I come back with a mag, and then I could easily, let me switch my mag. I'm gonna switch to a 15 curved mag right now. Give it my black, my 15 mag right here, curved mag, quadrant. And then all I have to do is just fill in the gaps. And this is easy because now I don't have to worry about coming right up against this edge with the mag. I could just start in the black that I did with the round shader and then bring it out and then fill in the rest. And then now you're gonna have like a super solid overall crispy look when it comes to these negatives. And it is an extra step, but this is a game changer for you guys that are really trying to make sure you get super solid shapes of black, especially in this more graphic realism style that we do. It really relies a lot on these negatives and solid blacks being super intentional. So round shader, outline it with the 5-round liner, go around it with the 5-round shader, and then fill it in with your mag. Tip of the day. The back of the shoulder, trying to get a lot of these blacks in there. There's a lot of dark shading back here that really makes everything else kind of pop. I just got done with the clouds around this UFO here. Still got to shade the UFO a little bit, but this one's going to be a little more simple. And then the closer it gets in the foreground, it gets a little more detailed. That's why this one has all the lights on it and stuff. But yeah, so far so good. We got all the bulk of the black back here. And once I'm done hitting these shadows and stuff like that, all of this is a little more negative, so it'll go a little faster. So get the shadows done first, get the dark shading done first, and then the rest is cake. So. You guys noticed too, what I did on purpose was, since there's 3 UFOs and then they're kind of like coming out from this clouded area and stuff, and then there's a lot going on over here, the front UFO I put a pretty thick outline on just because it helps it completely separate from the background. And then the one right behind it, I put a slightly thinner one, and then the one behind it doesn't have a black outline on it. So it helps with the depth, especially if you got a lot going on in the design, which there's a lot of background shading, a lot of stuff around it and stuff, and if you really want it to hold that same depth and contrast when it heals, the lines really help. And I always love adding in bold stuff with realism because, you know, bold will hold, but then you get your realism in there, and then the combination of the two contrasting each other, it's just really dope. Same thing with the negative hieroglyphs and stuff. That's technically bold because it's just solid blackened skin, but it's helping contrast all the realistic shaded stuff that we got all over here. And that's what makes this type of style of black and gray so dope, because you can contrast those two and make it stand out even after it heals. So for this smallest UFO that I'm doing right now, since it's the smallest and it's off in the distance, I'm gonna make it more simpler shapes. So as I go back into the distance, they get a little less and less detailed, I would say. When you get to the front one, you can see the separation of the lights, and there's highlights in them, and there's lights at the bottom, lights all across this. Here, the lights aren't separated, but you still get the bars across, so it kind of simplifies that shape. And then to simplify even more now, on the one farthest away, we're not gonna do any of these separations, and we're just gonna shape it with shading. So it's gonna have a much more simpler shape, and then as it gradually gets closer and closer, it has more detail, and that's what's gonna give you another layer of depth for the whole piece. So contrasting is not just light and dark, it's also detail and less detail. It's also sharp and out of focus or diffused. So it's always good to think about the different ways you can contrast and put them all in your tool bag so that your pieces can really stand out and stand apart from others.
So the background doesn't have to be sharp all the time?
No, especially if you're trying to make something in the foreground stand out and it has a lot of detail and it's very sharp. In some situations you could have a diffused background, or for example, all of this clouds around here, there's nothing sharp in these clouds. All of it is very soft and diffused a little bit. But what it's going to do, especially when it heals, is going to allow everything that's sharp to stand apart from it, because this is going to heal and it's going to look even more kind of soft and more shaded than it is lined, and then everything that's sharp or lined is really going to stand apart from that background. And it really helps in this situation because there's a lot going on. So these clouds are really going to make the top part of the tut and each of these UFOs stand out a lot, just contrasting diffused and sharp. Right now I'm using a 15 mag. It's just the perfect width for how the width of the shading that I'm doing. It's the same width, so I don't really have to do too much back and forth. If you see, it just kind of fits in this little pocket really well, and I can get it done with a big, smooth, sweeping motion, so it can look very even as I apply it. I'm just trying to fade out each of these sides now. So I got the center that's dark, and then it's going to start on both sides. It's going to fade out lighter. So I'm just fading this dark shading out on each direction. Other than just focusing on even depth and then also how you're angling your needle a little bit. So I never really go like this straight with the needle completely straight, because you're gonna see like needle marks. So I always hold it at an angle like this, so that when you go, it's kind of filling in those gaps in between each needle. So when you shade, you shouldn't see those needle marks. If you were to go straight, you'll start to see the separation of the needles, which is fine when you're using a light shade, but when you're using a darker shade or anything like that, it's way too obvious. You're basically making a bunch of lines next to each other and you're not getting an actual shade. Angle of the needle is a huge thing. And whenever I tell people that and they start doing that, their shading becomes a lot more smoother, and then they more intentionally can get more consistent, soft shading, because now they know how to do it, you know? We have our subscriber only exclusive, pay a little monthly fee and I'll give you all the game you need, constantly dropping very valuable things. And then we also have a design course coming out where I'm going to go over all of the aspects of layering, contrast, composition, just the feng shui of tattooing overall, and it's really going to help you step your game up. If you're a subscriber, you'll get a discount on the course when it drops, but the subscriber is really cool for you to continually grow as an artist and change little things about your technique and your designing and stuff, because we're going to constantly be dropping stuff on there every single week. So if you really want to be a part of the community and be an active member of it and really take your tattooing to the next level, I suggest you subscribe to our exclusive and then get the courses when they drop, because there's going to be a lot of value in both.
Can people request from the subscription?
Yes, we're gonna be dropping what we think you need to know, and then you guys can give us feedback on what you want to know so that we can really give you guys what you want out of it. You know, we're not gatekeeping anything. Everything is up for grabs. You just gotta let us know what you wanna know, and we'll give it to you on a silver platter. All right, boys and girls, that's a wrap for this vlog. We got another piece done, back-to-back session on this Egyptian UFO piece. It turned out super dope. Let me know what you guys think. It was really fun, client's really cool, and I think I locked him in as a client now. We're definitely gonna try to finish the rest of his arm, and then he wants to do his other arm too. So we locked him in, boys. We fucking did some good work on him and had a good time and good energy and stuff, and then that's how you get your repeat clientele to keep going and stuff, you know? Hope you guys got a lot out of the video. Always trying to add a ton of value, so make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. It keeps us really going and keeps us making these videos. If there's anything that you don't see that you want to see, go ahead and drop it in the comments, and we'll try to incorporate that. But until next time, see you on the next vlog.